Here we go.
It is Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. We are in meeting room number 1 of the Southwick Town Hall. My name is Lee Hamburg and I am chairman of the Historical Commission. And the time is 7:06. In attendance is Ruth Preston, Lee Hamburg, Kirk Sanders, and Mark Rankin. Also in attendance is Eric Davidson and Sam Goodwin, along with a representative of the Westfield Evening News. Thank you each and every one for being here tonight. We have been thin and scant, to say the least, and it's been several months since we've had a real McCoy meeting. I want to say May would be my guess, because Jim Putnam was on the commission for a short time, but he was only appointed to June, and as soon as that came, he stepped down, and that was it. Also, Barbara Phelps was a member of the commission, and she respectfully resigned at the same time. So we have been just the two of us hanging on by our fingernails. So I'm very glad that the Board of Selectmen appointed you two, and I'm tickled pink at that. And I wouldn't mind seeing another one appointed, Eric.
Thank you.
This is time for public comments, so if you have any comments that you wish to air that are not on our agenda, feel free. This can be comments or questions.
I'm too new to have any questions.
Yeah, I guess I have a lot of, well, I don't know, I see some of them might be answered, so I guess I'll hold any questions I might have or think of, so.
Okay. Then we will go to the introduction of members. Ruth? We'll
Ruth
start with you.
Preston? Anything else you need to know? I live in the Southwick Cottages.
Excellent.
Kirk Sanders, I was a police officer, retired now, 40 years. Driving a van in the morning and pretty much enjoying retirement as much as I can during COVID. So,
As much as you can.
yeah.
Mark Rankin just retired a little while ago from teaching in the Springfield Public Schools. And now I'm just trying to figure out what the Historical Commission is about. It's always interested me, history.
Okay.
I have some personal items of historical value, like, well, historical, what's the word I'm looking for?
Intrigue, interest?
Yes, it's the intrigue, interest of the town, yes, so.
Very good.
Eric Davidson, like these guys, retired paramedic. A lot of interest in the historical ends of our town. My family's been here off and on for a pretty long time. Just something to get me started in public life again after being on the department and breaking in and working in private industries now. I just want to be involved with the town a little bit.
Sam?
Sam Goodwin. Moved to town in 1966. Retired for 15 years now from truck driving and machine shops and a few other jobs. And on the Historical Commission Society as a board member, along with these two, plus my wife. And I've been thinking about joining or coming into here, and I saw the agenda for tonight, and it's some of the things I have an interest in, so I figure I'll come in and see what it looks like.
Very good, thank you. Lee Hamburg, and chairman of the commission at this point in time. I think I've been interested in town history since probably since about day one would be my guess. So I helped establish the commission initially back in 1978.
Because I have the paper at home. a newspaper article, that was another thing.
Okay.
You and Mrs. Patricia Odioin.
Okay.
It was a whole full-page ad in Springfield, for most of the page.
Yeah, I don't remember, time, it all becomes a blur. I know I was in college and almost did it, because of some promptings of my archaeology professor. Well then,
I should mention that Sam and I are part of the Southwick Historical Society as well.
along with Lee, my wife.
Yeah.
as far as minutes from the last meeting, I don't have any here at this time. It was recorded, and I'm going to ask that we dispense with that until the next meeting. There should be a secretary that at least is taking some abstracts, but we don't have a secretary at this point, do we?
Nope.
So that brings us to the next
Financial report.
the financial report. We've made no purchase this fiscal year, so our budget, which is approximately $1,800, is still the same. There's one down here.
Is there?
Yeah, there's
There's one right
a
behind
blue one
you.
right there.
Sorry, I didn't see.
We have another guest.
So did you say that's that there's $17 or $18 $100?
100, that's the annual budget.
That's the annual budget?
That's the annual budget for this commission.
Alright,
So we do not have a paid secretary, we do not have any staff, whatsoever, and we do as much as we can with what little we have.
okay.
I didn't even make an extra copy for myself. The purpose of the local historical commission, I don't know how familiar you are with, the applicable law, but the historical commission has as its primary responsibility to encourage and promote the preservation of historic properties in the town, in this case Southwick. We have relatively little power, I can tell you that right off the bat. For instance, the Conservation Commission, if there's a development going on, they can go onto the property almost any time, day or night, to inspect it. And if you tried to kick them off, they could call the police, and the police could come and escort them onto the property. No questions asked. The Historical Commission does not have that leeway whatsoever. And one of the tasks is to basically act as an educational tool to the general public about historic properties. Now, we have online through the Massachusetts Historical Commission, the historic building inventory for the town of Southwick. It's on a site that's known as MACRIS, MACRIS. And if you Google that, it automatically comes up to this site, and you can go window to window, and you can get onto the site, and you can look up every single historic property that has been inventoried in Southwick to this date. Now, another tool that we've used is we put out a brochure, basically a walking tour for downtown Southwick a few years back. And another option down the road would be to write another brochure covering a different area or areas of Southwick. Some other components that the commission does is it tries to promote the preservation of the cemeteries, in particular the old cemetery. So we have acted or offered comments to the cemetery commission over the years. Sometimes it has been taken gracefully, sometimes it has not. But right now, the chair of the commission is Jean
Thoreau,
Thoreau.
yeah.
Yes, not like Henry David Thoreau or Thoreau. He liked to pronounce his thorough, like a thorough job. But, certainly he has taken a more than mundane interest in the protection of the old cemetery. We've also been, for the past few years, with one COVID year exception, putting out additional bronze markers for veterans that have served and are buried in the Southwick Cemetery. So there's bronze flag markers for each of the veterans that we have been able to identify. And I have to be honest, it's in parentheses in the old cemetery, and we have continued with the new cemetery. We do have more markers that will be put out, but I'm not sure whether that will continue in perpetuity or whether that will terminate in the near future, simply because Gene is doing a lot of marking of veterans' graves in the new cemetery, and is using a different style of markers. And I don't think that we need to be working contrary to their goal. We need to be together. So unless Gene says, I like what you're doing, continue it for the next umpty 9 years, we may bow out and let, they've ordered hundreds of different style markers to put out. And I don't have a problem with that either. As long as the grounds are being properly treated, preserved, and marked, good.
Absolutely.
Now, we do have our primary responsibility is to make sure that we have up-to-date historic building inventories in town, and some of what is currently available needs to be updated or corrected. And there are also buildings that didn't get inventoried over the years. So we need to add to that. So that's probably one of our number one responsibilities right there, is to try and make the necessary updates so that anyone that goes on it, or if it's used as a planning tool, whether by for master plan or any other community purpose, that it's up to date.
So can I ask a question?
Yes,
So are you talking this could be a person's own home then?
yes,
Okay.
private homes. Now, technically, the definition of a historic house or property is very general. They don't get very specific. And they use a rolling figure of 50 years as
50 years.
50 years.
Oh, my house qualifies.
My
There
house
are a
was-
lot of houses
Yeah.
that would qualify under that criteria. And
Sefton Drive, all those side streets there.
yep, you're absolutely right. So I have a tendency to interpret the term historic a little bit more strictly, and I might make a few I would suggest some exceptions on occasion. One house that did get inventoried that is not over 50 years old was the childhood home of Rebecca Lobo,
Which makes sense.
which
Someone
makes sense
famous,
to me. Yeah. So I don't have a problem with that either. But other generic houses, I'd be a little careful about, because then everyone's going to want to have their house historic, their markers, their ability to try and they always see the label as being a pot of money.
So when you label a house historical, what then is there?
They're actually by itself, there's little protection. They could demolish it, they could renovate, they could
Yeah.
do anything they wanted with it. You basically have to go up a ladder of rungs, for instance. You know, one category that has a higher degree of protection are buildings or properties. It doesn't have to be a building, it can be a historic site even.
Yep.
It can be an archaeological site, you know, Indian graves or whatever. But would be National Register of Historic Places. And
So when does it get to the point where you couldn't demolish the house or radically change it, or is that not?
that would only be if the property had an historic preservation easement or restriction on it. And number one, the homeowner would have to be, you know, amenable to that reality. And it would either have to be for either a specific period of time or in perpetuity, one or the other.
Yeah.
And it requires, you know, comments from the historical committee. Even if the homeowner were to initiate it, it would require comments and signatures of the historical commission. It would have to be approved by the Board of Selectmen. It would have to be approved by the Massachusetts Historical Commission director, the SHPO, State Historic Preservation Officer, in order to be enforced. And then there has to be someone that holds the preservation restriction. Can be a historical commission. Oftentimes it's another entity like Historic New England or some large-scale preservation organization, trustees of reservations, for example, that would hold these. And they have the right to inspect it periodically based upon the criteria in the preservation restriction. And I've written the preservation restriction for one property, not in Southwick, but in another community, in which it was recorded legally at the time, but the recording standards changed. The owners didn't know it was recorded, and they did everything that they wanted to do to the house, including, you know, stripping off, you know, siding, etc. And
All your work
so
was for nothing.
somewhat, but
Wonderful.
these things can happen.
So let me just kind of I didn't show you this, but I told you about this. I just was curious. That's the little, and I don't know if you drove by there or not.
I have not been by there yet.
Okay, that's fine. But that's the guy that the ice pusher came from,
Yep.
and his father bought that from the ice company back in the 30s or whatever. And it's the same as it was from way
I
back.
can see it.
Except I think I walked inside of it. It's just.
It's like it's a time capsule.
Oh yeah, I mean he has running this. I think the sewers. There's water hooked up to it.
Wow.
But other than that, he lives in West Hartford, and he comes on the weekends, and he sits on this little piece of, like a little tiny deck, I guess.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he
Soaks in the sun.
He soaks in.
What street is that on?
It's right across from Wayne Durkee's house. On Boyce, because the road, he said the road was named after him, and I could go on and on about all the stories he told me, but it's Boyce Road, and he said way back when, they were the only cottage, they were the only house there. It was the office to the ice house. And since they were the only ones down there, he said, the town said, well, it's Boyce Road. So,
Okay.
there's a whole bunch of stories, but anyway, so that's, and so
And how do you preserve something like
I'm
that?
just saying, right.
Um,
I just,
number one, it has not been inventoried because the vast majority of cottages around the lakes, almost without exception, have been, you know, so altered over the
Right,
years
yeah.
that, you know, there's virtually nothing historic about them, you know. So, but that is certainly one that would fit the criteria to,
that one really would fit it, especially,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it has association with the ice industry in Southwick, and it retains, its character to the nth degree by the looks.
Oh, yeah.
So step one would be to get it inventoried, with the Massachusetts Historical Commission, with the local, with us.
Yeah.
And then from there, it would be either or both, historic preservation restriction
Mm-hmm.
or a national register. And I'm not sure that, it would be hard to say that that is a national register eligible property, despite being, in beautiful condition.
Yeah.
Not impossible, but, it certainly would be a rare entry, to say the least. So those are some of the purposes of the local historical commission. And, we don't do a lot of collecting. In other words, we have files here, but primarily the materials that we are gathering, making copies of predominantly, are going to be, maps, photographs of historic properties, information specific to different individuals or properties that are of historic importance to the community. It doesn't make much sense to start making a museum out of this if there's a museum elsewhere that, in this case, the Southwick History Museum, that is also collecting. And I know that if you were to have a wonderful collection in here, where would you exhibit it? I mean, 90% of what's in that case came from the History Museum, down the road. Barbara McEwen started working on trying to create a collection here, because she was of the opinion that the museum would never open. And
So does that mean that the museum and the historical commission are two separate entities?
they're two separate things. The commission is a town-appointed body, and I think the maximum number of individuals that can be appointed on this commission, based upon the bylaw that was accepted, is 5. The Historical Society is a private, non-profit, 501c3 entity that it can basically fill as many voids as it wishes to, that go beyond just the preservation of, specific historic buildings in Southwick. So that two different things, and two different goals in many respects. Overlap, yes. Members have always been a mix of one and the other. There's nothing too surprising about that. What questions do you have about the commission and its purpose and goals?
So, let's say you get pictures or documents and pictures and documents, where do they go? I mean, where do you store them?
We store predominantly copies
Yeah.
in files
Yeah.
here.
So are those files, is that what those are or no?
Yeah, yeah.
No, those, okay.
Some of these are our files. There's actually 3 different groups in here, if you can believe that. Yeah, there's economic development, there's sewer implementation, and historical commission in this one room. And then it gets used for storing all sorts of other stuff with special events.
How about storing pictures on a computer?
Online.
Well, online, but for yourself, you don't have a website. I don't know.
We do have a website. It was set up a few years back. I have to be honest, I know nothing about it. Nothing at all. I can't tell you whether it's up to date, out of date, whether it's strictly through the town of Southwick, window to window, or whether, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do have,
I think it's window to window. off the main page.
Yeah, I do have a PowerPoint with a lot of the old Southwick pictures and everything, and I got it all divided up. The churches, the center,
Businesses?
Kangwon Road, where Cahill's Market used to be, all divided up and all that. It's pretty good. I use it for my Citizens Police Academy, and
Okay.
it moves on its own and everything. Then I got one for the police department too, history of the police department too. So I'm still working on that. So
There's always more work to
Yeah.
be done, isn't there?
yeah, because I got a lot of stuff that I got from Rev Emmons and from Bob Laughlin.
Oh,
So I got to
boy.
keep adding stuff into it.
Yeah.
It's time consuming, but the other one, because you have actually a lot more pictures. You have different pictures in that book than I have on my. Because I went online, I go on eBay, and I'll check for postcards. And
Yeah.
I'll just copy out of there,
Okay.
and it's pretty interesting. It's nice.
Well, I think that sounds great. It almost sounds like you would be a good webmaster.
Well, I'm not. I don't know how to do webs. You probably know more than me.
I don't know much. I do have an IT person living in the house. I mean, we could figure that out if I can get her out of her bedroom, but we do have an IT person living upstairs. So, I mean, if we don't have anybody in the town, I can see if Ainsley can figure out a way to talk to Doug and get into the website.
Well,
I mean, if I can get in, I could probably get the pictures in and all that, or even that. You could download that because I got it all on a
thumb drive
yeah, on a stick and all that. I saved it. So
Is that something you could cross over from the society with Dory and her sister there are updating all our information?
they're updating some things, and I don't know exactly, what they are up to at this point in time.
Yeah,
Um,
or Dr. Sharon.
Yeah. I'd like to move on to the next set, which is elections. We need to have a secretary, we need to have a treasurer, we need to have a chair, we need to have someone that is willing to work with webmaster, I'm going to say. And we also need a representative to the Community Preservation Commission. So I'm going to open this up for nominations, and let's start with chair. And I'm going to give you a hint. If I have my druthers, I will be retiring from this commission when my term is up next June.
When your term of membership to the commission, you mean?
When my appointment to this commission is up.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't be afraid to raise your hand and,
I just retired, I don't want anything to do right now.
well, I am going to retire, and I have been on the commission for
A long time.
a long
yeah,
time.
but
You're right.
I'm gonna nominate you only because if it even goes to June, you still know what you're doing and everything. So it only makes sense. We're just newbies here. So.
Yeah, you gotta
Right.
you gotta tutor us a little bit before none of us
We
take
just
start.
started.
Okay? I mean, I totally agree with these guys. You
Like I
gotta
walk in the door, you're the chairman. by the
No.
way."
Well,
take a short,
I will accept the chairmanship nomination unless you wish to.
You mean till June?
Well, whenever our next, the elections would take place.
So,
It should be
But you shouldn't take it as long as you're president of the Historical Society, though.
right.
I was just gonna nominate you.
Yeah.
So, wait a minute, you're president of what?
She's president of
The
the South
Historical
Historical
The
Society,
ones that,
run the
The other
a
museum.
private
The other-
nonprofit group.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
See, now I gotta figure this all out. I didn't know that till just
Yeah.
a few minutes ago.
That's
We're
all
also-
So
right.
I think
Directors
I think
on
what
the
we're doing,
committee.
we're jumping the gun here because we got so many new people. I would keep the same until we get to June.
Well, how do we
And-
keep the same as far as secretary and treasurer when we don't have
Well-
one right now?
We'll have to
Love
fill
that.
the spots, yeah.
Well, I nominate you two for secretary and treasurer. And then I'll take the preservation rep.
Okay, I don't have any official nomination or paper saying that you're, have the selectmen made any appointment?
Oh, yeah, I've already sworn in.
I swear.
God bless you.
Yep.
Okay,
Sworn in,
I am
did my
glad to
ethics
know
training.
that.
Yes, yes. So yeah, 1, 2, 3 of us that got
Yep.
sworn in.
All right,
So look at me, I'm not sworn in.
no, you're not, you're a guest. Heidi, you're a guest right now.
I am a guest right
Heidi,
now.
what's your last name?
Hi, Heidi, your guest.
What is it?
John Stone.
Okay.
And who are you related to from Southwick?
George Steer was my great uncle.
George Steer was?
Oh.
He lived on I knew him when I was a little boy.
Yes, I just found this out in the
Oh.
last year or two.
He paid for
Oh.
the elevator that my dad built for the Methodist Church.
I think I knew that.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have a lot of living history right in the room. Well, a little bit anyway.
That's right. Yeah, there is some.
Now, the Hamburgers are way back.
Well, a couple days. 1901.
I nominate Mark for secretary.
I second.
Mark,
What's that Joe Kraft used to say? If nominated, I will.
I will not.
accept that.
Huh?
If the commission wants me,
Well,
I guess I would have to be sworn in or asked or I don't know how it works, but I would about step up to be the secretary.
I don't know.
I would like to, can we leave a vacancy for the time being?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna leave the
Table,
secretary.
just table secretary.
Can we leave the secretary's office blank for now?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
just table it.
Okay, yeah, let's table
As
these.
long as it doesn't interfere with my cemetery commission position.
It doesn't, and I don't believe that you can, Can you
If you told the selectman or whoever oversees this that we're using her just as, you're saying for like the secretary part?
Yeah.
That she took notes in that, but she isn't a member, but she can take notes. Like you, Ruth, you weren't part of the planning board, right? But
Right.
But you were, she was like,
but were you
Right.
compensated as part? No,
no.
no, okay.
You,
I will see what the particulars are,
okay.
There you go.
all right? We've never had anyone other than a commission member as a secretary or serve any position, okay? But if that is permissible,
Just talk to Carl and see what.
But there's potential there too.
Yeah.
No, I mean that.
Oh, yeah.
Because down the road, she's like that, on the planning board, you have that alternate, whatever. If someone does leave, she may want the position, she fills it, so she's getting a little experience. See what I mean?
well, yeah, I love it.
You're welcome. My husband's not gonna be happy with me, but yeah.
Okay, well, let's move back to chairperson.
Okay.
We have a nomination. Are there other nominations from the floor?
You're stuck with it.
We start with it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
This is for one,
It's a sweep.
It's a sweep.
this is for 1 year, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Just not to interrupt you, but is this a natural time in place for the election?
This
No,
is
because there's so
Right,
many
yeah, right.
changes.
I wasn't
Yeah.
sure what the.
Probably at June or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when the appointments technically take effect, whether it's, lines up with the town fiscal year.
I think it does.
Or the town meeting, happens, the annual town meeting is in May now. It used to be in April.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you're just appointed, right? You don't go under getting voted for.
No, it's appointed by the Board of Selectmen. No, by the Select Board.
Select board, yes.
Yes. You better say it right, because she's right here.
Well, I understand that, and I'm not trying to be,
No, she's the one that wanted that, so.
yeah, I want it too. I don't have a problem with
Absolutely.
that. Treasurer. Well,
Treasurer, what? $100? You gotta be kidding me. Do you write
well,
checks?
okay.
Do you write checks?
We don't write checks, but you do have to take care of all the paperwork necessary for purchase.
For the meetings,
What?
for the meetings.
Well, you have to be at the meetings, yes, but I'm just saying, if we approve a purchase, up to X number of dollars, you would still have to go through the entire process with the
Yeah.
town accountant.
Okay.
So you would have to get,
You have to make sure to save receipts and,
Yeah.
and log it.
Can I ask you a question?
yes,
When was the last time the historical commission purchased anything?
a
Just out of curiosity.
few months
Oh,
ago,
yeah?
yeah.
Was it so,
It was grave markers,
oh, alright,
okay?
yep.
But, yeah, we had to go through the forms and all that, and it takes a little bit of time and hassle. And, perhaps we have a fiscal consultant here.
What's he-
Eric,
I don't maintain the treasury for the 501c3 that me and Joanne run. She does.
okay, well, you don't have to, it's not that complicated.
I will do, if that's an easy thing, I can take care of that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
I-
gonna nominate
Nominate
him.
him.
I
Well, I was
nominate,
gonna nominate him for one reason. He runs our fantasy football league, and he does an excellent job.
All
So
right.
if anybody does numbers well, it's this guy. All right, so
I'm just saying, how
I
much-
officially
so
nominate
he's a
Mark
numbers
Rankin.
man.
I'm
I,
just saying.
I officially nominate Mark Rankin,
I
Okay,
second
the
it.
commish.
are there other nominees from the floor? Or from the board? And now I'm gonna close nominations, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you are our treasurer.
Thank God.
And that's simply, you will have to give a standard report, on a monthly basis to us, but
Which would, now just out of curiosity, what would tonight's treasurer's report have looked like? Any idea? Just, if there's no if there's no expenditures and there's no,
Just
There would be no expenditures in this amount of money.
we get in fact,
Date and everything, what it was spent on, and everything, that's all.
Yeah, let's do it in Excel.
if I can get into the mailbox over here,
oh, okay.
I could give you a copy of
Alright.
every 2 weeks, I believe, there is an updated accounting for every single board
Yeah.
and commission.
Yeah.
So that's how I know where we are financially. That's where all of you would be able to learn that.
Okay, that's fine, yeah. So just another quick question, so if $1,700 you have now doesn't get spent, does that stay there, or does the town just say you have $1,700, so we're not gonna give you $1,700 more? Or you don't know?
It does not per se roll over. You have to go before the finance committee
Committee.
every single year
Yeah.
to submit a budget. And then they add or subtract based upon, their ability to cover
The
finances.
the thing to answer there too, Mark, is they'll look at what did you spend last year, okay?
Yeah.
And they may say, well, you may not need the 1,700 because you're not using it all, so we may cut you $500.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
Yeah, that's, and then at the same time, if you have a specific project that, fulfills our obligations to the public, and, you have the Board of Selectmen saying, oh, that's a great thing, of course, the Finance Committee is gonna say, that's a great thing, yeah, we should, increase the money this year
Yeah.
to cover that. And I will tell you that there have been past years, many years ago, that the budget was higher.
Oh,
Is it a bad idea to spend the budget that you have so that you don't get a reduction in your budget
Yeah,
for
I was
next year?
thinking-
Well,
It's-
a lot of
it's-
them, you're right,
Why
because
not?
what they do is,
It's
You're
not
the-
automatic,
town
but you're
government.
right.
Right.
a lot of times they'll go out and they'll spend the money that's left, so you're right, they do that.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise they're gonna knock
But I
you
don't
down.
know what you can just go out and spend on here.
Yeah,
See, that's
I mean-
where your restriction is.
The bottom line is that our overhead here is so low that, I'm not gonna say, buy, $1,000 worth of, paper and office supplies if we're not going to, utilize it.
Right.
We have to be able to legitimize any expense. But, again, the budget can go up or down, and certainly it's more likely to go down if you're not utilizing all the funds. And we
Well-
didn't utilize all our funds for the past 2 years for some crazy COVID reason, but,
So the Historical Society funds are separate from this.
totally separate,
Okay.
totally
And
separate.
which means they're not funded by the town.
They are not funded by the
You
town.
do fundraisers, right? Yeah.
We do fundraisers and,
Donations.
donations, foundations, grants, soup to nuts. I mean, I've seen every type of fundraising you can imagine under the sun. Some people, are trying to raise the roof, and others tried. We replaced our roof by applying for community preservation funding
Yeah.
last, well, it was now 2.5 years ago, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
It flies by.
Well, it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So, next for our election is, I mentioned a webmaster, and I also mentioned Community Preservation Committee representative. And that individual has to attend the CPC whenever they meet. You've been our member in the past. Is that one you wish to continue with?
Yeah, I just need some assistance with getting back and forth to the meetings, but other than that,
Okay,
if they're willing to make sure they get me there.
so you are a nominee? Okay, does anyone else wish to be nominated? Then I ask that the nominations be closed. All in favor of Ruth Preston as CPC representative, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Then the motion is carried unanimously. And for webmaster, Eric, do you have any pearls of wisdom?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll work with the town on the,
Oh, great.
on the webpage.
Okay,
I mean, the page is already set up, so it's just getting access to it, and like I said, I have the brain upstairs if I get stuck on something. So I just have to get with IT and figure out how to, get
Well-
authorization to access it.
my thinking is, I'd love to see the programs that you have put together already that deal with, historical education about the community. And if they are applicable, I'd love to see, maybe boom to boom.
I don't know, you could probably set up a PowerPoint on the website, right?
Yeah.
So people can access it.
Yep.
It's all timed, the whole thing's all timed.
Yeah, I gotta get access to it first, so I gotta talk to
Okay.
our IT people and see if they're gonna give me access to the town webpage, at least our section window,
Yeah,
where I can get in there and
See,
add
Jimmy?
stuff.
I have,
See Jimmy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
what the
I know
protocol is.
the chain I gotta follow.
Okay,
The other thing is though, if I do webmaster and social media, I wanna set us up a Facebook page. We
okay,
need it. We're gonna need it. I mean, he can throw his PowerPoint on there too.
yep,
I mean, look how much I've done with my foundation just on Facebook. I mean, I got 200. I got over almost 200 of those sensory sacks gone out all over the country, and I've done all that. It's I hate it for social drama, but I'll tell you, for a commission like what we're doing, Facebook and Twitter or whatever. I don't use any of the other ones except for Facebook and Instagram. They are the way to get your information out. That's what everybody's doing nowadays.
Yeah.
I watch my kids. Dinner time, put your phones down.
You love to hate it, don't you?
Yep.
Crazy.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take it. 'Cause
I don't even go on social media, it doesn't mean anything to me.
I'll take it. I'll work with the town.
You're chuckling under that mask, I can tell. I'm so old fashioned.
I will accept the nomination of webmaster and social media guy.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Are there other nominations from the floor? Then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Then the motion is carried unanimously. Okay, mail.
Well, you didn't get it yet.
Would you like to see where the mailbox is?
I'll get it for you.
Okay. You know where it is.
I know where the mailboxes are, I don't know what the number is.
I don't know what, they're just labeled. The only question is, do we have the key to get in there?
Oh, into the lobby, you mean?
Correct.
So it's 50 years. Does the rec center fall into that?
What's that?
The rec center falls into that 50 years, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One of
60
our,
years.
one of our events coming up is the Spirit Walk.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The original building's about 60 years old.
No, the building was built in
No.
'79.
The shack, though.
Oh, that was put up there in 61.
Yeah.
But there was an original shack that was just a piece, a junk
Yeah, I
building that they
remember.
moved there. I got pictures of it, yeah.
You do.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
sort of a goal that I want.
It was in a newspaper clip, yeah. Cause I got the history of the rec center too, I got that, and then the police department stuff, you have to go through a lot of stuff, but.
So just a quick sidebar. We're able as a commission to start the process to get something declared, right?
Yes.
Because I think the rec center needs it
Okay.
to help them with some of their woes right now, especially that roof.
I'm the president of the rec center.
I know you are.
I know it is, so I'm with you. I'm trying to support you on it.
Yeah, I know.
They,
Yeah,
are they in a position to go for the preservation fund?
I don't know. That's part of the reason why I joined this, is to help Kirk get it declared, because I know there's money they can get if it's declared.
Well, no,
No?
it's not an automatic thing by any means.
Yeah, I know it's not. I'm
But
not
the
saying.
question is, can the Southwick Recreation Center, you are a 501c3, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Can you apply for funds for a roof as providing recreation, open space? Are you eligible?
Well, the only thing we've done it twice, is the PPP loan grants. So we got forgiven on those because they're looking at different avenues because now we're getting off
Yeah.
course here a little bit,
Yeah,
but,
that's, I
but
just have a quick
we're
question.
looking at different things.
Ruth, do you think they might be, or should Stuart Sauvignon be contacted to see if they are eligible?
Probably Stuart.
Yeah, he's got the answers. He basically runs the community preservation. I forget the last title. Anyways, it's basically a conglomeration or a group in Boston that promoted the act to begin with, and he knows every single activity that's happening in the state with every single dime darn near of CPC funds and what is and is not eligible. So maybe I can get that name to you, Kirk.
Awesome.
Okay, Lake Management Committee. And this is from August 26th. The only one that I can see real quick here is 141 Congamon Road, Krabby Joe's. That's the only possible, and it has not been listed, in our inventory, but at least one section, I think the one closest to the road was built by Cody, Ovid Cody,
Original building, yeah.
back in, I wanna say,
It'd be a while.
50s.
Yeah.
Could
Probably.
have been earlier than that even. Board of Appeals. Nothing applicable there. Board of Appeals will not meet. And if you want to circulate these, but there isn't too much to see. Okay, total historical commission funds, $1,710 available, 0% spent.
How much do you get each year?
$1,710.
Each year.
Well, it was, I think, $1,910. Board of Appeals, again, nothing applicable here that I am aware of. Lake Management Committee, July 8th meeting. Jet ski boat rental tournament rules, fisheries, annual boat census, CRC. Not applicable. This is July for the budget, again.
The budget year started in July,
The new budget starts in July, yeah.
July 1st.
Board of Appeals, not applicable. Another budget-related one,
Back there.
Board of Appeals. We're not getting a lot of other commission and board minutes. And I don't know whether it's because they have gone to, recorded meetings, or whether they're just not forwarding minutes to our board anymore. But I think a lot of them are,
Just recording.
they're just recording. And Lake Management Committee.
Did you have to print up your minutes when on the planning board once you, yeah?
Yeah.
I thought so. Budget again.
Budget again. So there is no mail in there that I see that is applicable, other than that one possibility of Krabby Joe's at 141 Congamon Road.
Well, let me just ask, so are you, when you say that, are you saying to preserve the present building?
Well, there was discussion of demolishing the entire
There was.
thing
Right, I
and
remember hearing about that.
putting up a new building. And that wasn't what was being, even considered at, by the lake management.
Uh-huh.
But it was interesting that they noted there's a new owner for the property.
Right, yeah.
It did sell, right? It finally did sell.
Yeah, obviously, new
Yeah,
owner,
Yeah, I
I mean,
think someone said it just.
unless I gave it.
He
I
wants
just
to
don't,
It looks like I read a little bit of it quick. He wants to make a marina slip with a restaurant.
with the original building?
Yeah, it looked like he. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
trouble-
think he got it, did he?
All I read really quick was the details of the construction that he was looking to do, and he was looking. I don't know if he got it, but because I couldn't read the whole thing because
Yeah.
there's so much going on.
I'm all set.
You're all
You
set.
didn't read it in the Westfield News?
Yeah. He wants to build a marina slip down there. I don't know what he's gotten approved, but that's what he's looking to do. on that
That's
property.
his primary focus.
Yeah,
Right.
marina
That's
slip
where he
with
makes
a
money.
restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The majority of restaurants do not make money for the first 5
Not
years.
nowadays, yeah.
Now, doesn't somewhere there, there's a part of the building, some historic significant, the octagon room, or?
The what?
The octagon room or the round section there.
Oh.
I think that's actually
That's
new-
newer.
That's
That's
newer.
Was it?
Yeah, that was 90s? That
It,
he
it
had
could
the-
it could be that new,
Yeah.
but
I thought that was a historic part of it.
No,
I don't think
no.
so.
That was, yeah. Yeah, I think it was the 90s or late 80s that he built that huge deck. I think
I
it
don't know
was,
anybody in this place once, so.
okay. I'm going to move out of mail and move on to the status of the old library. I think we all have eyes to see, and we can see that there's been some work on it recently, and that it's really looking so much better than it has for the past 20 years.
are they saying it's done now? Because I see the stairs need to be worked on and all that.
It
Painted.
is not done. I mean, I'm quite certain of that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
there's more work that's being done, but, you know, the progress that has been made, you know, from the initial, you know, new roof to the copper roofs to the paint job is just, it's all been top notch. I mean, this man, his carpenter had a shaper for making moldings. And he had custom made knives so that every single, if he took out this rotted molding, he made a knife, had a knife made up that matched that profile. And then he put the new molding up.
That's Heineck, right?
Through his contractor.
Yeah.
And it's not his name either, it's
Right,
Scott,
it's his
but-
building, he
yeah,
bought it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. If you saw the earlier pictures, it's too bad you couldn't ever do that ornate roof that was on there originally. It was beautiful. God, it was beautiful.
Well, the one big difference was, you know, that crust work on the roof. And he had, you know, I'm gonna say 2 years ago, discussed that with me. And I have not been able to find a source that makes that same.
Yeah, yeah, it's gotta be
Material.
difficult, yeah.
Now, Buzz Karen has said that he would be willing to make something like that, you know, using some type of signboard material.
Yeah,
And
but how long would that hold up though? That's.
I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, he'd have to, I'd have to first of all try to document the design, because if it's not real close to what was there, it's better not to put it on, you know.
I agree.
Yeah, if it's not gonna look appropriate, what's available is primarily about 20 to 30 years earlier than the crest work that they had on that roof.
Yeah.
And I just cannot find it. And the other thing is, I've seen one little vignette about this big of the library that was a copy of the original blueprint that was printed in a 1894 publication, that there's a copy, I think, in the Westfield Athenaeum. And I could blow that up and see if there's, you know, enough detail, but when you get, you know, so small, you don't get, you know, it's all pixels.
Oh, sorry.
So is there an existing copy of it now? Or you're talking about the Bodie or whatever? Is that something that could now be 3D printed?
Well, that would be nice. But whether I can get you enough detail, I don't know.
Yeah, because the more he blows it up, the less detail you lose.
Yeah,
You lose document.
it gets foggier and foggier. I do want to state that he had applied for CPC funds for doing stained glass repairs, and it was voted down at town meeting. And unfortunately, only lost by, it was a tied vote, and I wasn't there. So if I'd raised my hand, it would have passed. It was the only CPC project to come before the town that I'm aware of that has ever been voted down.
And what was this for now?
For stained
glass
glass
windows.
restoration.
$33,000.
That's all it was?
Yeah. And it got voted down. And I don't know whether you've been in there, but all the windows were paid by different Southwick families, and so they're memorial windows.
Yes, yeah.
So there's Rockwell family, and there's this family, and that family, and so-and-so Granger, and, you know, birth and death dates as part of that. And, you know, I would like to approach Scott and suggest that he reapply for CPC funding, and as a commission that we work together with him to promote it before, you know, any town bodies, whether it goes before, you know, the Board of Selectmen first, CPC, etc., right up the chain to town vote. Because if there was one artistic component that is important in this community.
Stained glass.
That's one, it's the only building that I know with period
That has
stained
it.
glass.
Yeah.
The only one.
Well, are you putting a motion up? If you're putting one up, I second it.
We'll have to do that under, well, we can do
The old
that
library,
now.
old library.
We can I make a motion that we endorse the utilization of CPC funds for restoration of the stained glass windows at the old library.
I second the motion.
Further discussion?
What has he done? Them already, so,
No, he is not.
What was the original cost you said it was?
33.
3,300 or 33,000?
33,000. I think it was actually less than that, but
I think it was 33. And that's for, I think, 13 windows or 15 windows?
it's for all the windows, on all
It's
four sides.
expensive to do.
Yeah. I mean, you could pay that for one medium, church window.
Yep.
So is this a unanimous vote?
Did you call for a vote?
I'm going to call for a vote.
Oh, I thought we did, yes.
Aye. Okay, the motion is carried unanimously. I will speak with Scott about that and try to get that wheel going. I might also do something on the side. I can't promise you, but I've had a number of people try to get me to put together an article on the old Southwick Library. And I might do that for the Southwoods magazine and maybe include some pictures of
Do you think you
these.
could get
I
into the
got it.
Westfield Evening News?
I think we could get into the Westfield Evening News if I had the right connections.
I got like 5 different pictures of the library
So-
throughout the years.
So would you go in there, you're talking about the progress, because I think that's probably what that building needs right now, is some people will ask about it, but there's no one can see any pictures of it looks like now, as far as from the inside, and so that would be kinda nice.
Okay.
To do tours of the inside?
Well-
No, just some pictures, if he.
Just pictures.
And if you want
Some
me to
type of
help you
promotion,
somehow,
yeah.
I will help you with just either physically, I don't know what, but
Yeah.
just to get some pictures of the inside, make a story, put together about the progress, and I don't know if he's taking pictures of before.
We have pictures of before.
Right,
We
so
have
you-
plans from almost 20 years ago now that were done by Chris Carey.
So I'm just saying, so you put all that together, some kind of, make it into
Yep.
a little story, that would be, I think, that would really help the cause,
Yeah, probably would.
just to get,
During my copious free time as a full-time employee.
I will can help you out here. This is one thing I said, I can, whatever you need me to do.
Okay. I will take you at your word.
How close to, I'm sorry to be so behind the curve. Where are we on the 250th and stuff like that? Is there anything?
There is going to be one event, and that is the parade with the follow-up party at Wally Park.
Is the parade going anywhere near the library?
Mm,
The old library, right past it?
I don't know what the route is.
Yes,
I-
yes, it's
I'm-
going
I'm-
right down College Highway.
Alright, so we're gonna have people outside of the old library watching the parade, yes?
So they're gonna
Yes.
be,
Why don't we set up,
Meeting
I
back
hate to be
here,
so
right?
old school, but why don't we set up like
They're starting
coffee
here?
and something?
so they're starting the DPW,
And walking right
they're coming
down.
right down to Prifty, aren't they?
No, they're going right down here and dispersing, between, the parking lot and Prifty and the salt shed, the old salt shed, etc.
We just set something up right outside that day, we offer coffee and donuts or whatever. Kirk puts up a nice slideshow. I'll get him a big TV if he needs one. And we just put something up and push. I'm telling you,
Oh, I know.
after running a 501c3 for 2 years, push.
What about putting it in that new magazine that's out that Candace Berube is publisher for? I can't remember the name of it. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's a new magazine, it's mostly advertising, she does some stories,
What is the name of it?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, she's done some public interest stuff. look it up.
I don't know what magazine
Is
she's
it-
talking about.
Is it all online, or is it
No, it's
printed?
delivered
It's
to the
printed?
door, and it might be a Westfield thing.
Talk about the-
But I live
I-
in Southwick, so I know I get it.
Is it the
now.
Westfield magazine that comes out monthly?
It might be.
Okay.
I never even saw it, I don't think.
No, I haven't
Well,
seen
I'll
it
tell you,
either.
the best way is what he's saying. Get it on Facebook, get it on there.
Yeah, I can get the,
You get
I
that
can-
stuff on the, people are on there all the time.
yeah, I can get the Facebook thing up by the next meeting. I can get pictures from Kirk. Kirk and I are friends on Facebook. We're friends. We've been friends since I was a little kid. So getting pictures isn't difficult.
Yeah.
But we need to expose what our plans are as a commission somehow. And I think the 250th is a good day to just sit out the front of that library and say, hey, the 250th. It's the 250th, and the Southwick Historical Commission is supporting the renovations or sponsoring the reservations.
Well, I think you should approach the owner first and tell him what.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
I'm putting it on the table.
And now that you say that, I think the problem at the town meeting was that they wanted the CPC to pay for it, where they were saying maybe the owner should pay for those windows being, I think that was the whole issue.
And it
That's why
wouldn't
it was-
surprise me if that was the primary,
I believe it was. That's
if that was
I
the
think it
primary
was.
argument. I mean,
Because
you
they
know-
are a private company that owns that building now.
Yeah.
And that's where the people had issue.
you see,
But private companies,
But-
private entities
Tyvek
have, no,
owns
but.
it.
well, private entities have received CPC funding in the past throughout the state. And it can be stated that, you know, even the citizens who are driving by that building on a regular basis, who see the exterior of that building, even if they never go inside, are getting a certain degree of advantage, just as if I drive by a farm in which development rights or CPC funding has been used, I get the advantage that I don't see 50,000 houses on that
Right.
acreage.
Right.
I get to see a historic building that still has stained glass windows and it's lovely even from the outside. And if you go inside, it's even lovelier.
Yeah,
And it's not, you know, when he is open for business, obviously, it's not impossible for a person to ask, I would like to see that.
That's just gonna be his headquarters though, isn't it?
That's right. It's going to be his
Plus he's gonna rent
business.
out part of it, right?
He,
the downstairs
he
or-
wish, well, no, he's thinking part of the back section as just a single office.
Okay, okay.
And that's fine.
it has its own entrance.
What's that?
The back section has its own entrance.
Oh, it does, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember when I was a little kid going into that back room.
Oh, yes.
I used to go in there and take books out.
Next, status of the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission Canal Project. I'm going to have to explain this from soup to nuts in Reader's Digest time.
Okay.
In 1825 to 1829 or so, there was a canal constructed from New Haven, Connecticut to Northampton, Massachusetts. It went through Southwick. And the section between the state line and Northampton is going to be inventoried by a professional, you know, historical preservation consultant. And the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, through the Preservation Commission planner, or historic preservation planner that's on their board, and several other individuals who administer grants, are using grant monies to put together a project to hire someone to do this project. And we, as a town, are putting in $15,000 from previously allocated funds for this. And all 6 communities, so there's $90,000 that's gonna be spent to do a full survey. And that means historical information, historic sites along it that are related to the canal. It could mean archaeological excavations on specific sampling of the canal, different places. And it will mean a state level inventory form for the entire length. And it will also have an opinion of eligibility for listing on the National Register of Historic Places, which is you know, just short of National Register listing. So, right now, they're on the verge, I've been told, of putting out to bid this project. And I don't know whether it's gonna happen, you know, this week, this month, this year, cause everything moves slower than you ever think it could possibly move. But, they've put the ducks in a row, and, with the exception of one or two communities that still are voting on the funds, I think everything is pretty much ready. They're also going to have Carl Walter, and probably be this spring, give a talk for each community, and so that would be Southwick, Westfield, Southampton, East Hampton, and Northampton, will give an illustrated talk on the section of canal in their community. And it's going to be videotaped, and it's going to be archived permanently. And he is so knowledgeable, he could speak 10 hours on just the Southwick section. And that's no exaggeration.
That's why, isn't the rest of it all redundant? Cause he's done all that work on it, and Bob Madison's done the book. I mean, what more do they need to examine?
Again, they haven't done any archaeological testing. They're not qualified to do archaeological exams. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, they're putting together a survey based upon the Mass GIS surveys for the entire length of the canal. So you'll be able to take literally a GPS record of where the entire thing, plus the feeder canals to it, are located. That's never been done before. It just hasn't been done. The other thing is that there have been changes and destruction since, you know, both Bob and Carl have done, you know, their previous research. And so that will obviously be included as part of the documentation. So it isn't an easy thing. I wouldn't want to have to do that because it's a big task.
They're gonna throw a plug in for the society. We're gonna have a model canal boat in the parade.
Yes.
We just had it delivered down to the cigar factory last week.
Yep.
All we have to do is fix it up and decorate it.
That's right. So that is where we are with the PVPC canal project. The money that we are expending is money that had been previously negotiated and paid to the town of Southwick by Global Telecommunications Corporation back, I want to say 15 years ago.
Wow.
And at the time, that was when they put the cell phone tower on the back of the property that, you know, Carvana wanted to develop. And it was determined by the local historical commission, this board at the time, that was a heritage rural area. And they negotiated a payment of $25,000 for the right to put the tower, and the money would be used as an offset to help preserve the canal. And it listed just three things. They could do archaeological excavations of 2 different sites. They could do National Register, and there may have been one other something. No other purposes. So this is the right use of those funds.
So the commission, this commission has the money's in control or is.
We're in control of the money. We voted at the last legally held meeting that we had to allow for the utilization of up to $15,000 from that fund, which is overseen by the town of Southwick, and to go for this project.
Yes, the canal, that little house that I showed you, the canal runs right by there, where he is.
Very close, I'm sure.
Yes, it is, because he was just explaining to me the ice pusher came out of there because a friend of his scuba dived that. And he found so he said, and you're telling me the story, I was over there Saturday. So he told it to me again, which is great, I'll hear it 5 times. But he said, my friend wanted to scuba dive, so he said, I told him, I said, when you get out there, however many feet, I forget, he says, it's gonna drop, because that's where the canal was. So we also found a huge saw, which is, an ice saw.
And ice saw is,
Yeah.
No, we're talking a round
okay,
ice saw.
that's not an ice saw,
Would that be I think he said it was round.
that's
That's like for
a lumber mill saw.
lumber mill saw.
Oh, well, anyways,
Yeah.
he said the guy got that out of the canal where he found the ice pusher.
Okay.
He said that's hanging on a wall in Newington right now, and they're trying to convince whoever, I forget who, to give it to the museum. So,
As far as I know, there were no saws of that, circular saws
Oh.
that were used on
ice.
the Congamon Lakes, okay? To the best of my knowledge. I have seen photos of a gas-powered ice cutter that used that type of blade,
Mhm.
but I'm not aware that it was ever used in Southwick.
So,
well, it came from the bottom of the lake. So,
Of course, a kid could have, he rolled out. Oh no, it's gone!
Didn't we just get something like that out of the lake?
We had a gift of an ice pike given to the museum not too long ago.
that was this guy.
That was this guy?
Yes, that was the one.
Okay.
Yes, that was the same scuba diver
All right.
who found the ice pusher in the canal, in the
Yeah.
town, wherever he found it.
Yeah.
And he brought, yes, so when I went to see this guy, the first time I went to see him, and I forgot how the discussion started, we were talking about it, and I must have told him I'm getting on the historic commission or whatever, and he says, I have something for you. So he took me inside the door and he showed you sitting, I said, before you give it to me, I said, write a story that goes with it, and then at that point I thought this commission and the museum were the same, but I said, it'll go nicely down there.
Yeah.
So, I think Pat Odeon must have
Okay.
picked it up, or if somebody got it, it's there. The story was from the Southwoods, that was the story.
Yeah,
of
the
South-
the pike is there.
So it is there, and then, like I said, when I was there Saturday, he said about this large round circular saw. Whatever it used to cut.
Okay.
Anyways,
Thank you, Mark.
well, hey,
Old Cemetery, there is still work being done on that at this point in time. I think they're making some changes as they were going to build a retaining wall on, I'm gonna say the north side towards,
where the hill is there.
yeah. And I think that they're not gonna do that at this point in time. Instead, they're gonna do a fill job so that there's nothing to maintain at all. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a win-win, because if you put that retaining wall, you cut down on the total width of that little road
I
that
know
goes
what's
on that side.
happening.
There'd be nothing left. You'd be able to walk through it and that would be it. Veteran grave markers, I've already given a little discussion on that, and I'm going to say, unless you have more questions or suggestions, I'm gonna move on. Okay, endangered historic properties. I can take this mask off if you wanna take pictures there, I'll look.
Alright.
Of course, it probably looks better with this on.
well, your mask is on.
Well, we're gonna look at these pictures down the road with everyone wearing masks, and we're gonna say, we know when that was taken.
Yeah.
For the endangered historic properties, I wanna, I've gotta get up at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning,
I gotta
so.
get up at 5, so.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I get
So,
up when I want.
I gotta get up at 5.
Mark doesn't get up until 11.
so I would like to
Mark's
forego
on Facebook
endangered
till
historic
1 now.
properties at this time, table that until the next meeting.
Okay.
That's fine.
Other business, is there other business? Yes, Heidi,
I do have other business.
yes.
The spirit walk that you guys are doing,
Yes,
Yes.
the Historical Society is doing.
correct? The, Cemetery Commission would like to know if we can supply coffee and donuts or something at some spot.
We usually do it at the registration, when people come in and register, we usually do refreshments right there,
We do.
yes.
Okay. Do you want us to take care of that this year, or do you guys, I mean, we're trying to help out a little bit and be a little bit more.
I think it would be stupendous, and the person to contact would be Patricia
Pat?
Cody.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
Where is the registration table? What part of the cemetery is that?
Just-
Very far back, you know, where there's,
After you go down the hill?
Yep.
Walk this year.
Okay.
you
So
know,
in Old Cemetery, in that little
Yeah.
parking area?
and as soon as you cross that big culvert,
Yep,
to the left-hand side there where there's a little bit, you know, just a few trees.
okay.
Eric,
What day is it?
that is Saturday, October 23rd.
Third.
Third,
Because October
Only
16th is
request
the
I got
parade,
is
and that's a
Saturday
Saturday.
nights.
That's right, it's 1 week later, October 23rd.
So
We
we
could
were
probably
gonna-
use guides too, to guide people around.
yeah.
Yes, well, I'm doing that myself.
God bless you.
Anybody else wants to help?
I'll guide with you.
Yeah.
I'm into that. Just give me the map and tell me where to go.
I'll try to
People
make sure
around.
that Elaine gets that axe again.
Okay,
The police
That was
have it,
when
don't
I was-
they?
Yeah, they do, and I made sure she had it, but since I retired,
Ah,
they
She's one
weren't
of
giving
the
it to her. I don't know
high
what the
points of
big deal
all
is, but I'll take care of that. She'll get the axe back.
Unfortunately.
Oh,
we're not
she
She
gonna
does
take
such a
care
good
of
job with.
Like,
I've
one of the
never
parents-
seen her give her presentation.
Are you
She does.
kidding?
She did it for our.
No, cause I'm always in it.
She does it for our Citizens Police Academy, and what we do is, she comes walking in from the back. I said, we have a special guest and everything, and she comes in and she's all dressed up and she has the axe, and because I have a picture up on the slide of the house where
Yeah,
she killed Dad,
That
and
was, excuse me, is that Lightfoot's house?
no,
no,
Or was that
no,
Colson's?
it's the
It
one
was
that's
Colson's.
down.
It was the Colson's
Gone.
that
That's
was,
where Charlie Colson
yeah.
lived, and it burnt down.
Yeah, right.
no, it didn't burn down, Jankowski tore it down.
Well, it did have a fire.
It had multiple fires, but that wasn't why it was torn
Okay.
down. His son-in-law built a new house.
What's that?
His son-in-law built a new house behind it.
Yeah. So she comes in and she's telling her story. She's awesome.
Yeah,
and then
she is.
she'll go up to someone and go, and then I hit my dad like this, and one person goes,
she's very real.
and scares the
Yeah.
heck out of her. She does such a good job. And then I have to introduce who she is and what she's doing and promote the spirit walk.
Yeah.
So
Um,
how many people should we supply or think about supplying food and drink for?
What did she say?
How many
many
people
people?
would want food and drink?
Oh, gosh, most people that come through.
But do you have an average head count?
Pat would have it, I
That's
don't have it.
I don't
That's
know.
fine. Okay, I'll send her an email.
I wanna say
Well,
50 to 100.
Yeah, that's what
one
that,
of the problems though, is we'll have like a potluck supper coming up. And
Are
we
you sure?
canceled the potluck part because
Yes.
of COVID.
Right,
So now we're just gonna go to prepackaged snacks.
Yeah.
That'll put out on the table. And
But if
people
we
just
have-
take the pack and open it up and,
if we have one person serving, say, apple or hot cider, and one person's doling it out, we should be
Yeah,
alright.
if it's one person.
If you've got one, something like that is very controlled. You have
Right.
one person, it's
if I
not
get
crowded,
cider
it's
donuts,
outside, yeah.
We'll individually package them,
Yeah, just have a pair of tongs.
yeah,
Interchangeable pair of tongs where you don't have to wrap each donut.
I'll just do one person handing out donuts.
Let's get those plastic tongs at the dollar store and
Okay.
just throw them out when we're done.
Is there other business that needs to come before the commission? We need to set a next meeting. Traditionally, we have done the first Monday evening of the month. Now, that didn't work out this month because
It
of,
works out better for me.
It works out better for me.
because we had Labor Day and
Tuesdays
the
is
town
Scout
hall was closed and most people don't like Tuesdays and I didn't get the agenda in on time stamped with the town clerk, so I couldn't have it Monday. So, would Monday, the first Monday in October be all right with
Yeah.
everyone?
Yeah,
It's
I'm
good
in.
for me.
Is that better than Tuesdays?
It's much better than Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm glad to
It's
hear
the
that, Heidi.
Columbus
Tuesday's
Day
a scout
weekend.
night.
Columbus is the
Yeah.
second weekend, right?
It's the second week.
It's not the first.
Oh, no, it is the first week, isn't it?
What is the first?
Columbus.
The
Day.
6th. I don't have
Columbus?
I
calendar.
left my phone in the
Oh,
car.
yeah, I'll tell you right now. I don't know, maybe I just look at my calendar.
I thought Columbus Day was the 12th typically.
Yeah, it's not the first
Well, yeah, because that Monday's the 4th, so we should be all right. Because October 11th is the next month, so that would be Columbus Day weekend. So it's probably that
Yeah.
weekend.
It is that?
It would be 9th, 10th, 11th, which is the second
9th, 10th,
weekend.
Right.
Okay.
So Monday the 4th would be the first.
Okay,
So that would probably be good. There's no holiday.
7 o'clock?
That works
Okay.
good.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second. Kurt
All,
Song.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Very good night.